My first concern is that after years of talking with potential clients and clients about estate planning, I'm pretty sure that when I say estate planning, most people think estate. One of these days, when my ship comes in, I'm going to have enough that I'm going to need help with something like that. I'll actually have something to plan for. But the bottom line is, it doesn't matter what you have or how much you have, a small townhouse, an IRA, a brokerage account. You need to be thinking about who's going to take care of that for you if you become mentally incapacitated. How do you want it to be cared for, and what do you want the person to do with it to take care of you? And then when you die, who's going to make sure that it gets to your family members with minimal cost and hassle? Now, my second concern is that for the people who do care enough to prepare for these situations, what they do often doesn't work. Most people get various documents prepared, wills, trusts, powers of attorney, with an expectation that these documents are going to avoid the horror stories that they've heard of families where mom or dad or grandma or grandpa have developed Alzheimer's or dementia, or when they die. The problem is that the documents, the paper, at that time are then out of date, or people can't find the document, they can't find the paper. People don't know what to do when they're now in these helper roles. People put so much expectation into the documents, the paper, that these things will work when the time comes. What I've seen time and time again is that the paper alone just doesn't do the job. It just doesn't cut it. It doesn't matter if it's a bunch of stuff that's stapled together or it's in a very fancy binder. It's not a magic book. So what I've done is created a short play that hopefully demonstrates the problems that show up with just documents. It's based on situations where families have come to me after someone is in crisis. After Dad died a few years ago, Mom went to a local attorney, and that attorney prepared a simple will and powers of attorney because Mom said, well, I just don't have that much. When the attorney said, well, who's going to take care of things if you're disabled? Mom said, I'd like John to do it because he lives nearby and he already takes care of things for me. Now, a year or two after Mom went to the attorney and got this paper prepared, she was concerned, well, what happens if I can't write checks anymore and I want to make sure that John is able to write checks? So they went to the banks and they asked the bank to put John on the bank account. What the bank did was make John a joint owner of that bank account. So Mom didn't live long after that. But before she had died, John was concerned about how he was going to be able to pay bills. So he went to her brokerage account and transferred $75,000 of the brokerage account into the bank account that he owned as joint tenants with Mom. John was named as the personal representative in Mom's will, so now that she's gone, he's in control of all of the property.
It's not a good idea that this house is sitting here empty. I've got a daughter who needs a place to live. So I'm going to refinance the house, give the money to my sister and my brother. And then I'm going to give the house to my daughter to live in. Power of attorney. That's a good idea, isn't it? I can do that, can't I?
There's Susan. She lives 2 to 3 hours away. She's a professional mother, very busy, lots of things going on, but she cares about Mom. And then there's Sam. He's the youngest. Sam is a very successful neurosurgeon who lives very far away in a big city, and he's always extremely busy.
Oh boy, maybe I should call Susan. Just check her out on things, let her know what's going on. Susan!
Hi, John, how are you?
Good, good. Listen, Susan, I've been thinking a lot about Mom's house here, just sitting here empty. And so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to refinance the house, give you and Sam the money, then I'm going to give the house to my daughter to live in. She doesn't have any place to stay like right now, and I know Mom would want it that way.
Just wait a minute there, John. Can you even do that? And how would you do it? I don't think that's a good idea.
I'm the power of attorney. The power of attorney says I can do that.
Can I see that power of attorney?
No, I don't have to show it to you. I'm the power of attorney.
I think I better call Sam. Hi, Sam. I'm so glad you picked up the phone. You know, I've been leaving messages, calling. You never call me back.
Well, I'm pretty busy. I just don't have time.
Well, we all are very busy. But you know, Sam, the reason I'm calling is, do you have any idea what John is doing? He's going to give Mom's house to his daughter, something about refinancing, and I don't understand what's going on. And he says he has power of attorney. What should we do?
Susan, I don't have time to deal with this. You and John have to work this out. Can't you work this out with John?
Okay, but what should I do? Really, what should we do?
Susan, I don't have time for this. Call a lawyer.
No, I don't know any lawyers. What's it going to cost? I can't afford that. You know that.
Look, just call the lawyer that Mom hired in the first place.
Oh, that was such a long time ago. I have no idea where that information is or what his name is.
Susan, I'm sorry. I'm late for surgery. I have to go.
Okay, what do I do now? Hi, John. I'm calling because I want to know what happened to all of the money in Mom's checking account.
That's mine.
Well, the will says it's supposed to be divided up 3 ways.
The person at the bank said it's my account now. I have to go.
Okay. Okay, Mom's will. How come you say everything is divided 3 ways? But John, he's getting everything in Mom's checking account.
So now let's look at how things might have worked if the family had planned differently. So if instead Mom had gone to an attorney that spent the time to find out more about the family dynamic and had prepared not just a will and powers of attorney, but also a revocable living trust, and had then helped Mom make sure that all of her real estate and bank accounts, everything was in the trust, and then recommended that both John and Susan serve together as trustees if Mom became mentally incapacitated, and that if either one of them couldn't serve, Sam would then step in and there would always be 2 children acting together as trustees. The attorney also had an ongoing maintenance program where Mom and the kids would go to group meetings that the attorney would put on to keep learning how the plan works and be prepared to act when the time comes.
Estate plan. Now that Mom is living in my house, it doesn't seem like a good idea to leave this house empty, sitting empty. What I'm going to do is refinance the house, give the money to my sister and brother. Then I'm going to give the house to my daughter. She needs a place to live in. What do you think? Is that a good idea? I can do that, can I? Well, I guess I better call Susan and keep her up to speed on things. Susan!
Well, hi, John. How are you?
I'm just fine, Susan. Listen, I've been thinking about Mom's house just sitting here empty. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to refinance the house, give the money to you and Sam, and then I'm going to give the house to my daughter to live in. She needs a place to live in. Is that okay?
Just wait a minute. If I remember correctly, the house is owned by Mom's Living Trust, and she is the trustee until there's a determination of her incapacity. And at that time, both you and I together will become the trustees. You alone cannot sell her house.
I don't remember that.
Well, I am going to call the attorney that we met with a few months ago. We all met with him and Mom. Find out what we can do about this, because if you recall that he said we could call him when issues like this or concerns came up. Okay?